Hey guys, this is Formulka with the daily deals of November 28th, the second day of Steam Autumn Sale. And the first game up is Dead Island, 75% off, which takes it down to €4.99, $4.99 and £4.99. So the UK guys are getting royally screwed, the EU guys are getting regularly screwed, and the US guys have the best price of all. The game is first-person action survival zombie game, just like, for example, Left 4 Dead, but not really just like it, because this game has an open world. You don't have to play in co-op, you can play alone as well, but the co-op is really good as well. And there is much more depth into the game. You can craft your own weapons out of the pieces you find around. And the quests as well are more like open world. Let's say like Fallout 3 New Vegas, or from the recent games, the Skyrim. That's, I guess, the closest you can get, but with zombies and one on a tropical island with a beautiful hotel which is overrun by the zombies, of course. The first game, the Dead Island, is a fantastic game. Even though it has its quirks, you have to mess around with the config files to get the FOV, and even me personally, I've improved a little bit the durability of the weapons, for example, because otherwise you are running out of the weapons, and it's just not that much fun, I have to say. So there are tutorials and guides on the web how you can do it. Just remember, if you are messing around with the config files, your friend has to do it as well and disable the in-game anti-cheat stuff, because for some reason this game has an anti-cheat software included, and if you don't disable it, it may ban you for using upgraded or altered config files. So just keep this in mind. Great game. There is another one. There is a standalone DLC, the Dead Island Riptide, but don't even bother with it. It's also on 75% off, but it's more expensive to begin with. It's almost double the price, and it's just not worth it. It's not good enough. Next one up is Don't Starve, 66% off, which takes it down to €4.75, $5.09 and £4.07. And this is a survival game, very much in the roguelike spirit, I would say. And as I said, you are basically just trying to survive. You are in the world, in an aggressive world, a dangerous world, and you are trying to keep the fire, the light for the night, so the monsters don't kill you. The combat system is very basic, and if you have to fight for your life, you will most likely die anyway. You are using the resources you are gathering to research better stuff, and basically just trying to survive as long as you can. And quite possibly unlock some more quirky and interesting characters in the process. I really like the concept of this game. It has beautiful 2D, almost like painted or drawn graphic style, and it really works for me, the graphics and even the style of the game. So for this price, I think it was maybe a little bit cheaper before, but it's a daily deal, so I don't think it will go any lower. So if you like Minecraft, for example, just go and pick it up. Really good game. The next one up is XCOM Enemy Unknown, 75% off, which takes it down to €9.99, $9.99 or £7.49. And XCOM is first and foremost a turn-based tactical strategy game, but also it includes a little bit of real time in your base where you are researching the stuff and preparing your soldiers to fight the enemy aliens that are invading the world. And if this concept is, well, not sounding that fresh and new, it's because there was a really old game I really loved playing back in the day, the XCOM UFO Defense, or maybe some of you know it as UFO Enemy Unknown. And this game is very much based on that game. You have the globe, but this time it's a little bit more simplistic. You are not constructing multiple bases across the world. You have only one base with one hangar for one transport ship. But you have, well, even their assortment of soldiers is much more limited. You can't have like 16 or 20 soldiers at once deployed. So the game is much more tight and simpler, but at the same time it still keeps a lot of the feeling of the first UFO games, and I really loved it. Like, I just ran through it on the first playthrough in the first weekend, and I really enjoyed it, and it has won a lot of Best of the Year game awards, even on the consoles, I think. So that's a huge achievement. There are some DLC packs for the game. They are only on 50% off, and actually the last one, The Enemy Within, is not on sale at all. So I would wait for this one to drop on price, but for sure, if you like turn-based strategy tactical games, pick it up, and I'm almost sure you have it already. It's even cheaper than the iPad version, if you can believe it. Great game for a good price, I would say. Pick it up. Next one up is Papers, Please, 50% off, which takes it down to €4.49, $4.99 or £3.49. And this is a strange indie game, I have to say. I've played it kinda a lot. And you are working on a border. And you have to decide whether or not you will allow the people that are coming through pass through it. There is a certain amount of rules you have to abide to, or you will be penalized. But it's not as simple as that. You can't just do everything by the book, because you are a person, and the people that are coming in have their own stories. If it's like an old woman trying to just return home to her home country, and for whatever reason she's missing the proper papers, you can let her in. Or maybe you get yourself bribed, because you are not only letting the people in, but you have to take care of your own family. And you are really poor. Even if you are doing a really good job, you will not most likely have enough money to provide them food, provide them shelter and heat. So they will eventually most likely die, and this is really, really hard to balance. And it brings a lot of decisions in the game, like allowing someone who is hunted or maybe about to be killed inside just to save him, or deny access to some bad person just because someone else told you that it is a bad person. Everything will have an influence on the money you are gaining, on the money you can provide for your family. And on top of that, you have a really tight time limit, so you can't just spend your time deciding. You have to do it really quickly, because otherwise you will just not make enough money for your family. Really, really good indie game. I've played it in the beta even before the release, and I have to wholeheartedly recommend it for the pickup. The game itself will last, I think, maybe hour and a half, but you can replay it and try other strategies, and a really, really good game. And it will just show you the desperation of some people living in like third world countries, or maybe just behind the Iron Curtain when it was still up. The whole world, of course, it's entirely made up, so you are in a made up country and everything around you is also made up. But fantastic game, and I would suggest you pick it up. The next one up is Game Dev Tycoon, 50% off, which takes it down to €4.49, $4.99 or £3.49. And this, as the title suggests, is a Game Dev Tycoon. You have your own gaming studio. Well, the first time you are just at home working on the game of your dreams, and it starts in the 80s, so you are making games for NES, or maybe even, I think, for the first few for Atari and Commodore 64 with your awesome DeLorean in your room. I'm not sure what that's about, but well, you have some set amount of time based on the money you already have, and you have your expenses, your personal expenses. Later down the line, you have to pay the salary of your people that are working on the game, and by using these sliders you are basically deciding how much, for example, the engine will cost, how much of your time you will spend on the gameplay, on the story quest, and it's based on the genre you are combining or just using one of them, and also based on the platform you are working on. This game had a tiny viral campaign, I would say, because the developer released the version of the game, like a pirated version of the game, on torrent sites. But that particular version of the game had, I wouldn't say even like Easter egg, but well, it was altered. So eventually, when you were playing it, you could play just like the usual game. But eventually, the piracy would kick in, and it would basically just destroy your gaming studio. So it was to teach the person pirating the game the lesson. I think it was an awesome idea. I'm not sure how many actually downloaded the game, because I'm pretty sure it was flagged as altered really soon on the torrent sites. But this is an interesting idea. The game itself, well, it's kind of raw. As you can see, you only can like see your office, and you are just moving sliders. So if you have the imagination for creating games, I guess you can imagine that you are really creating a new Forza game, or a new Pokemon game, or I don't know, new Skyrim game, and then just you have to feel the game and decide what attributes of the game need the most work. And then you are waiting, and you can see how the game is selling, and how the magazines and later the internet sites are reviewing the game, the scores and everything. You are trying to do the best you can, and you can even create sequels and all that stuff. Another really interesting game. Not sure, but at this price, I guess I would pick it up. Again, only 50% off. I think this is the theme with the indie games, the recent ones. Next one up is The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing, 66% off, which takes it down to €3.73, $5.09, or £4.07. And this is a Diablo style, very much Diablo style action RPG from the third-person perspective. It looks kind of nice on the screenshots, but you can feel in the game that the budget was kind of tight for the people. So the animations are not as good, the spell effects are not just as good. The gameplay itself is kind of simplistic and raw, but for this price I would still pick it up. If you like Diablo style games and you have played Diablo 3 and 2 and the Torchlight 1 and 2 to your death, you can pick it up and play a little bit more of this. But speaking of the animation, just an example, if you are hitting the enemy, it doesn't react. You don't feel the weight of your weapon. You don't feel the weight of your awesome spells that look a little bit lame to begin with. They basically do nothing. The enemy will lose a little bit of health, but you can't see him like burning up or flying around. He will just stand his ground, and this is like the theme of the game. The Van Helsing, maybe you like Van Helsing. The world is kind of funny. It includes some quirky moments, and like it's breaking the fourth wall from time to time, including stuff from our real world in it. So I guess that's the theme for the Van Helsing as a whole. But yeah, if you like Diablo style games, you may pick it up for this price, but I would maybe wait for the Torchlight 2 if you don't have that one to go on sale. Next one up is Dark Souls Prepare to Die Edition, 80% off, which takes it down to €5.99, $5.99, or £3.99. And this is one of the hardest games there are. It's not in the style of I want to be the Boshi, not as hard, but it's still really, really hard. And that's basically the game's best gimmick. It's still a perfect, beautiful fantasy action RPG game, but the difficulty that you have to master the game, the combat system and everything, and you will die a lot, even though this is the best part of the game, because you don't feel cheated. You feel that you messed up, and you slowly figure out how to progress throughout the game, and finally, and if you get to the end, you feel the big, huge feeling of accomplishment. This is a great game, the second game in line. The first one was Demon's Souls, which started this series. It was riddled, I think, with the games for Windows Live, but that system is finally dead. Yes, woohoo! So right now you don't need that piece of, and you can play it just on Steam without that installed. Go for it. Great game if you can keep up with it. If it can make you really angry, but if you think about it, you will figure it out. You will eventually get the hang of it, And you can even invite a friend to help you with some extremely difficult boss. There is a really kind of strange co-op version in the game where you can invite friends to help you with particular events. So great game, pick it up. Next one up is Final Fantasy VII, 66% off, which takes it down to €3.69, $3.99 or £3.39. Don't let this date confuse you. This is an old cult classic game, one of the best RPGs, JRPGs ever released. I think it was on the first PlayStation, so this is like 15 at least years old game. I'm not really sure about the date it was released, and it still holds up. It's still a great game, and this is one of the games that everyone should play at least once. If not on the old PlayStation, you can pick it up right now on Steam and relive the experience on the Steam. So the graphics are a little bit simple, but the story is huge and fantastic. The combat system is just like all the old Final Fantasy games, of course, and you will have a blast with this game. Yeah, you don't need me to tell you this. You have to pick it up, especially for this extremely low price. I think this is the lowest one I have seen it for in a long time, maybe ever. And the last game on today's daily deals is Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition, 60% off, which takes it down to €5.59, $7.99 or £5.99. So UK guys are getting a little bit rough deal this time, but it was outweighed by that Skyrim yesterday, which is still up, by the way, so you can still pick it up for that super cheap price. And just like Skyrim, this is one of the best RPGs ever released. This is a little bit older, as you can see, 1998, so it's already 15 years old, almost 16 years old game, but this one is enhanced, bigger resolution, because the older ones were only 640 by 480. You couldn't even go higher by tweaking it, but there are some like fan mods which enabled the usage of the engine of the Baldur's Gate 2 and Icewind Dale, so you could almost match this enhanced edition with the older one, but it was such a huge game as well. I remember like installing it from 6 or 8 CDs because there were just no DVD versions. Maybe I just didn't have the DVD mechanic back then because it was so new in 1998. And the story is fantastic. You are picking up your group on the way to the final end, and this is one of the few BioWare games that I eventually really finished, because some of them are so huge that I just stopped playing them in the end and never finished them. But I finished Baldur's Gate because just the story caught me and I had to do it. Every time I returned from school, I continued until there was the end. 60% off doesn't sound like a great deal, I have to say. I would imagine it being on 75% off, but still, this is such a cult classic, so if you have never played this game, just pick it up. Everyone should have it in their collection. So, these are the 9 games on today's daily deals. From these 9, I would pick up the Baldur's Gate, if you don't already have it, the Final Fantasy VII, of course, and maybe the XCOM Enemy Unknown, because I think these are the 3 best games on today's deals. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, like it. If you want to see more, if you don't want to miss any other deals, subscribe and leave a comment down below. Until next time, bye bye.